guys, if you're starting a brand, the core of you starting a brand is know who your audience is. And you can't be everything to everybody. So know your core audience. If you're going to piss off your top clients, of course you're going to lose money.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, for the DC Talks podcast with David Chinelli. I'm your co-host, Agent 00, or Owen Osinde, if you'd like to call me. Mr. DC, how you doing?
All right.
Good.
We have the plates that's in there. We had those from before.
You've been snacking with the team over here.
Yeah,
I kind of like these plates, actually.
Yeah.
They're very, nice little bite size.
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you. My ADHD is just kind of like, why are those there? Anyway, let's go.
Let's get it, man. So there's been a lot of things happening in the past month. One of the things that stand out is this Sidney Sweeney ad that came out about 2 weeks ago. And it started a huge conversation.
Actually, by the time this airs, it's probably even like 3-4 weeks ago.
3-4 weeks ago. But I thought this might be a good opportunity just to discuss the overall political climate and how we're using...
And how me and my wife and other people were fighting about it?
Yeah. People are using ads as a way to talk about how they're being used as... Or are we being conditioned to look at ads from like a racial standpoint and find ways to be offended? And we can look at this with ads like Jaguar. I don't know if you saw the Jaguar ad.
Of course I did. My father-in-law is the Jaguar. We were laughing about Christmas time. I'm like, look at your brand, big guy.
Yeah,
and he was so mad.
You know, there's
that. I think 95% of Jaguar owners just returned their keys, I think, after that. If you haven't seen that ad, they went super ridiculous woke. So here, in my opinion, I think the last couple, like with the Sidney Sweeney, and this is, I think, the topic which Owen wants to talk about because he brings up some of the topics. We think hopefully the woke culture is dead, and I think that's an indication, reason why we're bringing up the Jaguar stuff. When people went super woke, they go broke, and that's a comment we were saying over and over again. Now, if you haven't watched Jaguar, their commercial, it was just around Christmas time. They went super LGBTQ thing, they had all this picture. I don't even think there was a car in that whole thing.
There's nothing. Which,
if that was your brand from the beginning, fine. Like, we're not saying that you can't promote that. The problem is there was a disconnect, and they should have learned from Bud Light. Mm-hmm. And we bring Bud Light back, same thing. When they went super woke, what happened was that they didn't know who their base was, right? You know, your blue collar, like everyday kind of person, like Midwestern
construction guy coming after
exactly,
work,
right?
Yeah.
And it was like, so when they got that, they felt like their masculinity was affected by they were triggered. They stopped purchasing and they lost billions and billions of dollars. Same thing with Jaguar. I think they lost $500 million in the first day or something like that when they came up with this super woke commercial. Again, they didn't understand their brand. It's also when people don't understand your brand, cars have a problem with this as well, because sometimes they try to be too many things to too many people. Whereas if you have a culture like a luxury brand, the people that own that luxury brand don't want to be exclusive. So Jaguar, is taking a page from somebody that they should have taken a page from. So I'll give you an example, like BMW. BMW used to be a really, really premium brand back in the day, right? It was only like a high end, or even Ferrari or something like that. But what happened was, and then BMW started to introduce the 300 series, then the 100 series and all that stuff too.
Trying to cater to everybody. What
happened was that you had their people buying those luxury vehicles, the 700 stopped buying them. They went to their competitors because people are like, hey, I just bought a $500,000 BMW. Oh, so did I. I just paid $30,000. They didn't want to be associated with, and it sounds bad, but some of the people that wanted to be the luxury brand wanted to feel superior to them, and they lost a large portion of their luxury clients because of that. But the opposite is also true. VW, I remember studying this in my MBA. VW tried to come out with, there's a higher end car. I forget what it's called. There was a Passat, and then there was a higher end car. And at the time, it was over $100,000. Nobody wanted to buy over $100,000 Volkswagen. And it was an amazing car. And I could Google.
The brand is just not prestige enough.
Exactly, right? And I'm going to Google it. I forgot the name of it. I know it's going to kill me. Volkswagen premium car flop, let's call it. Let's see if it pops up. But the point was, the Phaeton. That's the Phaeton. A full-size luxury sedan is often cited as the premium car flop due to its poor sales performance. Despite being well-engineered and boasting a high-quality build, it struggled to gain traction, particularly in the North American market. So again, your brand matters. So, but the other thing is what I also heard as well is like, some of these brands, which are owned by big conglomerates, have to have some sort of a scorecard, and they need to sprinkle some of their LGBTQ stuff in order to have
market acceptance.
Yeah, it has to be part of their scorecard in order to have that, right? To have some credit. This is what I've heard before. So for example, you see the one from Ford with the big that had a rainbow car and stuff too. People like, again, your bases are construction workers. Your guys are like contractors. Like, why would Ford go out and have an F-150, in the LGBTQ stuff like that too? And apparently somebody said it was like, well, we needed to do that, and you can quote that and figure that too. But I think that culture is kind of dying out because now it's affecting their pocketbook.
And going back to like what started, like the most recent one that's happening, of course, we've had the Jaguar, the Bud Light. We can go back to those in a bit, but the recent one was a Sidney Sweeney one. And the ad seemed pretty straightforward. This is like a duplicate of a Calvin Klein ad that happened back in the 80s. Why do you think so many people saw something else in it?
I think people, when they're outraged, are looking for reasons to be outraged, right? And you saw this one girl, like she was an Indian girl, saying like, well, when I was an Indian girl and stuff too, like I always want to fit in. And like, so when I see Sidney Sweeney and this pretty girl stuff too, it makes me feel bad. That was her response. So it was like, and people are pushing back, like, we can't have pretty blonde people that blue eyes anymore doing ads because they're superior, like their looks are superior. That doesn't make any sense. I found a lot of people got triggered that way too because it's not what they're used to seeing. Like we went so far the other way, with men wearing bras and like 400-pound swimsuit models and those guys, and transgender women and winning like a beauty contest for women. And again, it was just like it just kind of swung the other way. So when you had a natural, beautiful girl like that, and basically saying jeans are like, oh, she must be talking about her jeans, and like the Nazi thing, it just never made sense to me. I don't know how they swung that way, but there was people admittedly saying like too, it's like, there's like, we're not included, and I think there are people actively looking to be triggered.
Yeah, I brought up this quote. This guy, I saw this. So this one lady on LinkedIn spoke about how this ad is being used as a way for kind of like what the Nazis used to do back in the day. It was like this race Aryan type of thing. And this guy goes like, are we interpreting a fashion ad through the lens of ideology? Or are we superimposing ideology onto a fashion ad because we've been conditioned to? Claiming this campaign represents a failure of DEI strategy assumes that the ad was meant to appease a hyper-politicalized cultural lens rather than target a Gen Z audience. DEI training is critical in many contexts, but should not be used as a retroactive filter that overcorrects creative risk, considering the campaign added over $400 million in market value. No small feat from a marketing standpoint. Sidney Sweeney is white, blonde, and blue-eyed. However, suggesting this ad is a celebration of racial purity or to claim the campaign is inherently exclusionary is to overlook the universal nature of beauty. Whether it's Sidney Sweeney, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Natalie Portman, Jenny Kim, Beyonce, or even Pedro Pascal, the phrase "great genes" could easily celebrate any of them. So think about that.
First thing foremost, she never said I had superior genes.
Yeah, as an
Aryan race. What if you want to say she does have good fucking genes?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. If you look at her real genes, so look at her ass. Yeah, I'm looking at your ass. Your genes look fantastic.
Yeah.
If you look at her genes with the gene, like her parents have good genes.
Yeah,
you're a pretty girl.
She's a pretty girl.
I would say that about most pretty girls.
Yeah.
You have good genes. Like,
exactly.
You just happen to be like a busty blonde hair, blue eye. Things that most heterosexual males
are into.
Like, I don't care what race you are. I don't care if you're black, you're Hispanic, you're white. Everyone's like, she's pretty hot. Anyway, I'm just saying she does have good genes, right? So, and I remember sitting beside Natalie and we had this conversation and she's like, well, don't you see how it's a Nazi kind of thing? And I was like, no, what are you talking about?
I saw
she's like, genes, like Aryan race. I'm like, how did you get that from that? Like you were so far stretched. And goes, well, that's what other people are saying. Well, other people are on crack. I'm sorry. I was saying like her parents are American. They're not. Do they all the way back to the Nazi German? I don't see that lineage. I'm like, and how far back would you have to go? Now, if she was like, Claudia Schiffer, something like that. Claudia Schiffer, I think, is German, I think. And I think Claudia Schiffer, Natalie made the argument, but she's got brown eyes. I'm like, fuck off. But if Claudia Schiffer had blue eyes and said, like, I have good genes and thank you to my Nazi, like, if she was alluding to that, I can see a little more of a connection to there. But again, it's most people looking into like the lens what they don't have and trying to feel objectified. And how dare you do that? But the opposite didn't happen with us. So I never felt offended when I saw somebody who didn't represent me. You know, I just wouldn't buy that brand. And that's what hit them were like, and I wasn't trying to hit them other than Bud Light. I got pissed off at Bud Light. I'll be honest with you that I didn't want to be seen drinking a Bud Light.
Yeah, me either. I haven't drank a Bud Light in 2 years.
I think I drank a Bud Light a couple of times after hockey, and it used to be my favorite beer. I used to like when we were in the States, Busch Light, Bud Light. It was there, like, or you have Bud Heavy, we call it, with just the regular Budweiser. It's Bud Light, Bud Heavy.
You just put it in the glass so you avoid being seen with a Bud Light.
And it was fine, right? It's good tasting. It's like, you know, it is what it is. I liked it better than Miller Lite, but now like we're going to the J games and stuff too, and like I like the big cans. I won't buy a Bud Light. Mm-hmm. I just won't.
It just makes you look like you're supporting a brand that is.
Well, it pissed me off.
Pissed you off.
It pissed me off. And like, but I'm not going. If you go look at my social media, I never once went and tattletaled on Bud Light. It's like, how dare you have, you know, Delvin Mulvaney, whatever. It's like, he's not a woman, blah, blah, blah. Like, how dare you? Like, I just was like, ew, okay. Next beer, please. I'll Guinness, please.
So was that, if you compare the Bud Light to this one, was it that the Bud Light was blatantly attacking an ideology that which goes against your values, which are Christian values, and they're not trying to promote this?
Well, he was putting Dylan Mulvaney was putting on, they call woman face, right? He was pretending to be a woman and stuff too, and it was like
ditzy football. Oh, is this a touchdown?
Yeah, like, exactly. And it was like, get off my fucking screen. Like it was more like he was annoying, you know. Like it wasn't. He's not even that pretty. So that's yeah. Maybe if he was pretty, I'd have a different thing, and it wasn't so ditzy. But it would have been better off if he would have been like, "Hey, I'm," you know, like if he would have been like embracing the football game, and instead of trying to be ditzy and I don't know who their audience was from that. Like I don't understand what their goal was, and that's the problem. Like guys, if you're starting a brand, the core of you starting a brand is know who your audience is, and you can't be everything to everybody. So know your core audience, and those, like, remember the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of your clients, of your business comes from 20% of your clients, or the people, you know, whatever the rule is. But 80-20, like, so know that, right? So if you're gonna piss off your top clients, of course you're gonna lose money. So at what point did that make sense? So it pissed off people. Sidney Sweeney, I can it really piss people off because she said I have good genes and she's pretty like that she's done that character over and over and over again
for many other ads.
Exactly. So it's like it's not like she's doing something different, right?
Even if, like, say, and one,
I think it pissed off some of the wives because their husbands were watching the ads. Like, honey, we got to go to American Eagle.
And the thing is, like, if it was Beyonce and she did the exact
same, but she did. She did that for Levi's.
Why wasn't there outrage for that?
Yeah, but nobody talks about how Beyonce's bleached her skin and now she's whiter than me.
Yeah, blonde hair too.
And blonde hair. And tried to sing country music, which she fucking sucked at. I'm sorry.
And she won a Grammy for it.
Which her husband paid for the Grammy for her to get. Everybody knows that. It's like, you're trying to tell me that all those other country music stars are looking like they're giving her props, to the point that she was getting pissed off. Everyone's racist. That's why no one's going to show to her country music show. They had to shut down some country music shows they had. Isaac, what I'm talking about is in general, is like when she was trying to sell tickets, country music fans weren't watching her, because her album's not great. It's not really that good. If you like, her Jolene version pissed me off. She changed all the words. It's just I don't like her voice. It makes my vagina dry up. It all comes back to her, like, and it goes back to her character. I think that's why I can't stand her, because of her character and how she's blatantly like a very esoteric and bows down to all. You've seen all the goddesses she's been for. Like, I think she's demon possessed. I've said it before. Like, if you've seen those pictures, I know that she's bound. And they've talked about her own personal assistant and drummer talked about her witchcraft and all the stuff she's done before. We know she's not Christian. We know she's gone against that. But forget that. Let's take away that. But that's one of the reasons why I stopped liking her. So when I hear her voice, it literally it pisses me off. But sometimes the music comes on, like her other songs, like her song Halo. I hate the fact that I actually like that song, but it's a good song. I like that song. All right. I hate
it's a good radio hit.
Yeah, it's a good radio hit. So that one, I'll give her props when her props are. There's not one of her country songs
that you listen to that has replay value.
Exactly. None. So when she was complaining about how people weren't showing up, because I'm like, well, no, because you tried to shove it down your throat that you're this country music star. You're not a country music star, and your music's not good. Your country music, I'm saying it, her country album's not good. If you like it, fine.
But in your opinion,
my opinion, I listen to country music.
And you listen like Jason Aldean and all these guys.
Hopefully going to go. We're going to go to Nashville in a few days. So yeah, we're hopefully going to go to Aldine's again. It's a great bar. It's like 3 or 4 levels. It's awesome. They have like live. Like if you guys haven't been to Nashville, all the honky tonks and everything, they pass around hats. You give money. Like people like that's when people get their starts, right? They have different sets to come in. Guys play their own music. It's great, and it's like everyone's just having a good time, right? And different races and colors too. If you want to be LGBTQ, like you can do what you want there.
Accepting.
No, it's accepting. It's like it's great. It's there's no holds barred. You can do what you want. You can wear cowboy boots. You can wear a hat. You can wear a suit. You can wear. I really like Nashville.
Yeah, no, I've seen great. Like I've seen videos. It looks great. It looks very. Everybody's in there like
it's
black
the new
people.
Vegas apparently.
Exactly. It's like very celebrated. Going back to the conversation, right, about these ads and everything. Do you feel like now the pendulum is swinging back to normalcy where conventional beauty is now becoming just the regular standard? Like back in the day, we had, these 6-pack, 6'3" models being the images. Like, think about like Abercrombie. Yeah. And even back to what Sidney Sweeney's doing right now. We're now moving away from the wokeism of what is in ads, and now we're going back to the regular. And that's why people are pissed. Do you agree with that?
But who's pissed? Not everybody's pissed.
I think
I think so. First of all, let's answer some of these questions. Who's pissed? I don't think everybody's pissed. I think a lot of us are celebrating it. I think a lot of us, like when we used to look at ads as kids, the problem we had was like we were idolizing who some of these people were, and some of the models were very unhealthy, right? So it was a bad image to our children. So I would never want my daughter to look at a 6'3" model who has 1% body fat, who eats a cigarette and has a Coke as her meal for the day. So let's call it as it is.
Let's set the parameters.
Exactly
Right.
Was that healthy? Like no, not like that was not unhealthy. I do not want to go back to that. But I do think we need to have a standard of beauty and health, and so I think we are better now equipped than we were back, like say in the 80s. But also portraying somebody that is overweight, that is unhealthy, and that is okay, and pretending like some of these. Maybe pretending to be like healthy as a health regular, like that. I am who I am. Like, well, no, your doctor said like you should probably change your lifestyle or else you're going to die. There's a one video that this lady she did a reel, and she had all these, they said like fat influencers, and they're all in like their 30s. They all they're like, okay, we're just starting this new season. One was they all died. Within the first episode, they were big. Like, oh, this is fat. This accepting my fat. It was funny. All these, and they're promoting the, as a natural lifestyle. That should also be on display for people. Say like, sure, like I understand that you may be overweight, but that shouldn't be a standard that people should go towards. Like to be morbidly obese, there's health risks to that, right? So I think we put them on too much of a pedestal, saying like, and I understand like. They're trying to say you are who you are and accept it. But I think we need to have a good standard for us, our kids and us to look up to that is not detrimental to our health. Whether it be like looking at somebody like women and all these magazines that have a perfect body, perfect fake breasts, BBL, that is also not healthy. Also looking at guys that lift weights and like they're mega, like, these huge jacked guys.
Unrealistic.
It's not realistic. So, but they almost should have a warning label on there. Like that might be your ideal, might be a goal, but there should be the communication saying that is not what actually happens, right?
Like when you see a commercial, don't try this at home.
Right, exactly. Well, look at Hugh Jackman, for example. Like when he does Wolverine, like he doesn't walk around like that. He looks like that for the movie. And I remember even and Arnold, not Arnold Schwarzenegger, him too, but Sylvester Stallone talks about when he did the movies, like all the Rambos, when he did the Rockies, all that stuff too. He was down to like 4 or 5% body fat. He couldn't wipe his own ass. He would rip its muscle and stuff. So he had to be very careful. But he was jacked on the screen and all this, like on all the steroids and stuff. He was huge. And it was like, if somebody looked at it as an ideal, like, well, take a look off the cameras. The guy couldn't even walk around. That also should not be as an ideal.
Probably fatigue like every single second.
Well, think about it. He barely ate anything too because he had to like show his abs and all that kind of stuff too. So I think we should have like a healthy relationship with our bodies and ourselves, which again, neither one of us have. I can't say like we're always trying to tweak things and stuff too. But if you don't have the ideal body, like I always say this, we need to have ideal body and work towards it. We're never going to be perfect, but doesn't mean you don't strive for perfection. You don't just give up. You know, you don't go the opposite way. Say, well, I'll never have a 6-pack, so let me put on 400 pounds.
And that's accepted.
Yeah, it's accepted.
Like the whole body positivity thing that happened. And I think where I was going with it was that I think we are the group that was upset was that group that has now been coddled to, right? That it's okay to let yourself go. It's okay to look like this because now that's celebrated. I think they're losing that leverage now because now things are slowly going back to the Sidney Sweeney types, because Sidney Sweeney is very pretty. She's thin. She's blonde hair. She's blue-eyed.
But let's be fair. Sidney Sweeney is not thin. She's like, she's got curves.
She's got curves, but she's fit.
Fit,
right?
Different.
Exactly.
She's not skinny. Fit. I would say fit. I don't know if she smokes or runs or any of that other stuff too, but it's like, it's more of a fit body, and it's like maybe more attainable for more people. I would say to have a Sidney Sweeney body as opposed to as a bodybuilder, like who's taking steroids all the time. You know, like it's healthier to go that maybe look like Sidney Sweeney as opposed to, you know, as somebody who's lifting like a huge bodybuilder. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think they see the Sidney Sweeney types as a threat, like the really pretty girls, the really pretty guys, to the Indian girl you spoke about?
But I also have a question here. Like, was it really in our everyday lives that people are actually accepting them, or is it only in their mind? So
elaborate on that.
So if I saw somebody morbidly obese, like somebody, we're talking like 400 pounds, you know, at the time the media was having them on, you know, on swimsuits and like Sports Illustrated and all like and saying, oh, trying to celebrate this. But when you're walking down the street, are people looking at them like, oh, she could be a swimsuit model? Or people are like, oh, like it wasn't happening in real life, but in their own mind, oh, I'm celebrated because somebody looks like me and it's on the cover of a magazine, so I feel good in myself. But in reality, when people are walking down the street, they're looking like, that girl looks unhealthy, or that man looks unhealthy. But in their mind, because somebody was on the, like I said, on TV, something like that too, it made them feel better about themselves. I think that was a trigger in the opposite way for them to continue to have an unhealthy lifestyle. Now, again, there are people in there that do have medical conditions that we know of that they need to, that they can't lose weight. We're not talking about those people. We're talking literally about people that have chosen
to let themselves go.
Yeah.
I think
and we're probably going to get ripped on that for talking about that, but it's just,
we're going to get ripped on it.
I don't know. People like get mad at us. They got mad at some of the stuff we say all the time, but it's like, I don't understand. They got mad when we had 2 of our episodes that had to be removed because we offended people. We were trying to be inclusive of people. We're just talking about society here. It's like, I got ripped on one time, and like, oh, I'm going to take, he called me, remember the steroid freaking realtor stuff too. And I'm like, I don't touch steroids. And I was like,
steroid realtor?
Yeah, he called it like, I forgot. And it was people just like, well, will look at us and say, well, you're not morbidly obese, so you don't know what it feels like. I'm like, well, I try not to be. I want to be around for my kids. If I look at statistics wise, your longevity is going to, if that size is going to kill you like in your mid 40s. There's a great comedian who passed, a couple of great comedians, but I'll remember John Panette. And if you know who John Panette was, he used to make me laugh. He was a big boy, and he started he's one where he started to lose weight, and but he lost the battle because he started to lose weight. It took him too long. He ended up dying of a heart attack. I think it was in his 50s. But that guy was fantastic. He was hilarious and stuff too. But even somebody like that who was trying to work out stuff too, like he let himself get too big, and his body just gave out. Just gave out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just want to say one thing. We're not trying to alienate or trying to talk about things that are going to make you feel offended. It's just like we are just having a discourse about the broader look in society. This is one part of it. The Jaguar part of it has nothing to do with body positivity or anything like that. But it's something that has gone completely out of the norm of what Jaguar is. Jaguar is
well, if you watch that commercial, you would have no idea they're even selling a car.
So my thing is like, why are brands leveraging this playbook of...
Because they have to.
But why do they have to?
Well, again, here's my conspiracy brain, which it's not even conspiracy. If you look at why, so I went down the rabbit hole, like why are all these companies going super woke? And it's like the company, the parent companies that owned them had a scorecard. That's what I was talking about before. They made them do like, for example, there was no need for like Ford to go out with have a rainbow like the F-150. It just didn't make any sense. And like, but they're like, they made us like, you hear some people, the employee, like, and you have to go down the rabbit hole because it was one of the things they had to do in order for them to get funding or something like that. That was the idea.
But a company like Ford in DC, like who's asking them for funding? This is like a legacy brand. You know what I mean?
There's people that own.
This is like a publicly traded. GM is a publicly traded company.
I know, man.
Like with billions of dollars.
Well, I guess. Well, it's because it's publicly traded. They can also crash it publicly. I guess. I don't know. I don't know why. This is one of the things I heard, and it's like, oh, like why? And I guess this guy came and goes, well, it's a certain scorecard in order to get into certain, like, I don't know, the CEO. I don't know the whole history, and I wish that we were going to talk about that. I would have pulled up the reel I was talking about before but if you Google it yourself, say like, what's a scorecard? See if you can find it.
Do you think this scorecard is here to stay?
No,
it's.
I think now. I think some of the people. Well, I think the experiment right now between if you look at what the Sidney Sweeney happened, like if companies want to make money, they can't go too woke. It's happened over and over again.
Because they went anti-woke and they added $400 million overnight.
To the point where I'm seeing everybody like talking about it, like on like I didn't even like American Eagle before, but now I'm gonna go shop. It's like it was funny. And it was just funny. I think it's not that they're going anti-woke. They're just going
regular.
That's the problem. It's like when somebody does something that should be done regular. Now it's like, oh, you're anti-woke. Yeah, you're a hater. Why are you hating everybody? Like, that's funny. I was trying to Google like, why are companies
going woke?
Yeah. And the first thing it was like, I asked it underneath there. It was like, first question out of Google said is like, why are you gay? I was like, I just said why are, and then it
just brings it up. But as you're bringing that up, I think we are in a phase right now where the outrage over ads reflects the broader cultural polarization of how things are. We've gone so far to the point where everything now has to be looked at with a lens of ideology. Every single thing. If it's not like how something happens, but it's how something manifested in the conversation. It's like how if we're having a regular conversation, oh, the way DC looked at that, he was being fat phobic. He was being racist. He was being whatever. And I think it's a dangerous way we're going because we're looking at everything from this political lens, a racial lens. And I don't think it's healthy for us moving forward. And that's why I think people are celebrating these ads when they're coming back to normalcy.
Well, I told you what happened when I posted the thing on my Facebook about the new health minister. And that had nothing to do with her being fat. She has no fucking credentials to be a health minister. And then who she was backing up, and I was getting pushed back. I erased it, and it was like, you thought I was post that because all it said was like, I don't remember. I think we talked before it because it said, like, is Canada turning into an SNL skit? And I was like, you can read it, and people thought I was talking about her being fat. I'm like, no, that's just a byproduct. I didn't even give a shit that she's fat or Islamic. It's like, look at her credentials. Look who she's backing. She's all this, and I'm like, she doesn't follow my ideology. But how does somebody who has an engineering degree and no nutrition background whatsoever going to tell me what I'm supposed to eat?
Yeah. Optics run everything now. And it's so sad.
I didn't even say anything and I got thrown under the bus.
And that's what I'm saying. They looked at it from that lens, and now you are you're the bad guy for mentioning where it's example like this. If you try to sell me a house without your real estate license, and let's say I did it without a real estate license, and you come to me.
It can be done.
It could be done. That's like under the table stuff, but something.
No, like it's not under the table. It can be done.
Okay. One thing you told me was that the reason you went to the school and you did your exams is because you're avoiding to be sued.
Yes.
Exactly, right?
But I'm saying is like, so if you do, you can sell a house on your own.
Yeah.
You probably
private sale.
Private sale. You can do this as private sale. But you got to make sure how do you know you're protecting yourself? You don't know what you're doing. Like, there's clauses in there to protect you, like, or the price. I'm saying you could do it, but you can get totally screwed by doing it. And you could get sued. I'm saying, but it can be done. Anyway, sorry, but that wasn't my point. But people have done it. Like, why would you hire somebody who does this all the time? Was my point. Like, and for the small minimum, it's already baked into your sale anyway, right? So like people try to do it on their own because they try to save whatever the 5%, whatever it is. And it's like, but you're probably giving up even more for than 5% because you're not, and you might get sued for more if you don't disclose certain things, right? If you had a flood, if you had a grow ops, if you had mold, anyway, there's certain things that you do like, which can cost you way more than that 5%. If that's what I'm saying, you could do it, but it's not recommended. Sorry, that's all I meant.
Exactly. But what I was trying to say is that even if you put me onto your Facebook, me as a black guy, it's
what?
Like
You're black?
This guy tried to sell me a house, and people will come to you and be like, and you said this guy sold to me without a license. They're not gonna look at that. They're gonna look, oh, you're trying to like tear this guy down because he's a young up and coming person of color trying to sell you a house. That's what I'm trying to say is like, yes, we're so down this path, which is super dangerous, that it's going to happen with pilots, doctors, of course, everything.
People call me racist. Remember the first time, I was laughing, and I said, excuse me? And like, I forget, it was one topic we were talking about. I'm like, you do know my podcast?
My co-host is,
I hired a full black company without even knowing black. I didn't even look at the color of their skin. I liked the guys, and I was like, but you're going like, oh, just because you hire them does not mean you're racist. And I'm like, okay. I just was like, okay, you're right. Sure. I got black friends. Sure. That doesn't make me not racist, I guess. But then what would make me racist? Anyway, it just, people projected what they want to project. And I didn't even say anything racist. Mm-hmm. I could have.
You could have. I think these phones have given us this ability to feel like we can just say whatever we want. And it shapes the political atmosphere and the whole ideology. Like, imagine if we still had our Blackberries. Imagine we still have flip phones. All these things.
The good old days.
The good old days. I don't think all this noise will be as prevalent as it is right now. You know what I mean?
I remember, I know we got to wrap up, but I still remember when Blackberries first came in, and our VP would sit in the middle of a meeting and he'd be on his phone talking just like this and look up and down and on his phone. I was like, it was the most distracting thing in the world. And only the VP at the time really had a Blackberry. We didn't really have, we had like Nokia's, like little shitty phones, which it takes like 5 hours to message, hi, what are you doing? Because you have to press the 4 or 7 times and blah, blah. Anyway, now everybody has those things in their hands and everybody gets distracted. So we try to make a point. I think you should do this with your family as well. Like set like dinner time, sit down with your family, put your phones away, especially if you're at a restaurant. Like my kids bring their sketch pads. They're great artists. You've seen their pictures and stuff. They're great artists, but it's because they've honed their skills. Every time we go out, we go out for dinner more than we should. But they know that, right? They know that we don't bring our phones. And sometimes I have to answer the phone. They're like, Dad, you're not supposed to be on your phone. I'm like, it's work. It's paying for this meal, but relax. But we try not to as well. But I think that we, at some point, need a detox from all of social media.
I agree.
From your phones, from that, and bring it back to basics. And also that helps with your mental health, because I think this whole being offended stuff has caused us to be able to have a lot of, not mental disabilities, but it's like a lot of mental factors which are coming out, and people are just spewing their hate towards everybody else on social media. And it does affect your psyche. So you don't know if that person that was making those rhetorics about Sidney Sweeney or about us have had somebody say something negative towards them.
It's just on
and
trend.
Probably not even as hard as they're saying it to themselves.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very on trend. Like something happens, everybody just jumps onto it. And it just forms like this whole like monster that can't be controlled. That it's like, are you trying to get views? Are you trying to like add something of substance? Or are you just joining the mob because that's the in-trend thing to do? You can't really read people's intentions these days. Everybody's incentivized to get views, to get likes, get followers, and whatever's hot at that moment, that is what you're going to get on.
Okay, I agree with that.
Anyways, guys, let us know what you think about this, like the overall political climate, how everything is now looked from like a lens of ideology. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it here to stay? Is it passing? Are we going back to normal? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next episode next week. Peace out, everybody.
See you later.